Pilots are trained to stay calm, cool, and rational, but sometimes even they experience things that can't be explained. Lights that defy physics, voices in empty cabins, or radar blips that vanish into thin air. Buckle up, because these are the 10 creepiest things ever reported by pilots. And they're real. Number 10. The ghost passenger of Flight 401. In 1972, Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crashed into the Florida Everglades. Dozens died, including pilot Bob Loft and flight engineer Don Repo. Here's where it gets creepy. In the years after the crash, crew members on other Eastern flights reported seeing Loft and Repo on planes that had reused salvaged parts from Flight 401. Some saw Loft quietly sitting in first class, only to vanish when spoken to. Others claimed Repo warned them of mechanical issues that were later confirmed. Eastern never officially acknowledged the reports, but they eventually removed the reused parts, and the sightings stopped. Coincidence? Maybe. But seeing your dead coworker give safety tips mid-flight definitely makes the list. Number 9. The floating man at 39,000 feet. In 1980, a British Airways pilot flying from Johannesburg to London looked out his cockpit window and saw a man. A man outside the aircraft at 39,000 feet. He radioed crew, checked radar, and reconfirmed altitude. The figure appeared to be floating upright, motionless, arms at his sides, wearing what looked like a pilot's uniform, and then he vanished. Some blamed reflections or hypoxia, but the pilot wasn't alone. His co-pilot saw it too. No depressurization, no other aircraft nearby, and no logical explanation. Just a human-shaped mystery hovering next to a jet traveling 500 miles per hour. So yeah, turbulence isn't the only thing outside your window. Number 8. The Phoenix Lights. Yes, pilots saw them too. On March 13, 1997, hundreds of people across Arizona reported strange lights in the sky, in a perfect V-shaped formation. Among the witnesses, commercial airline pilots, including one flying into Phoenix who radioed air traffic control asking if there were any military drills or large aircraft in the area. ATC responded negative, nothing on radar. Pilots described the lights as massive, silent, and moving too slowly to be a conventional aircraft. Some even said the object blocked out stars as it passed overhead, meaning it had mass. The US military chalked it up to flares. Pilots and most witnesses didn't buy it. It's still considered one of the most well-documented UFO sightings, and the FAA wants no part of it. Number 7. The radio that replied after the plane crashed. A cargo flight near Anchorage, Alaska was reported overdue in 1993. Controllers attempted to contact the pilot for hours. Nothing. Then, suddenly, a weak signal came in on the emergency frequency. Anchorage Center. This is heavy ice. Going down. Controllers tried to lock in a response. Silence. The aircraft was later found crashed, in a location miles from where the signal was received. Investigators determined that the plane had been destroyed on impact, but the eerie part? The signal came 3 hours after the crash. No black box data indicated transmission attempts, no survivors, just a single radio call after everything was gone. Number 6. The transparent passenger. In 2007, a regional pilot reported seeing a passenger standing in the aisle mid-flight. Not unusual, except the cabin was empty. Ferry flight, no passengers. He radioed back to dispatch and calmly said, "I think I've got a stowaway." Flight attendants confirmed no one else was aboard. The figure stood near row 12, expressionless, before fading into nothing. The pilot landed early, ground crews checked everything, no security breach, no evidence, just a pilot and 2 crew members who all swear they saw a person who didn't exist. Flight logs now carry a small note. Row 12 is never assigned. Number 5. The screaming in the sky. A Brazilian cargo pilot flying over the Amazon in 2009 began picking up strange interference on his headset, high-pitched static, then what sounded like screaming. He removed his headset. The cockpit was silent, but when he put it back on, the screaming resumed, and then laughing. He switched frequencies, still there. He shut the system off, still there, and then it stopped. After landing, he had the radio checked. No faults found. The black box picked up the same audio. No other planes nearby. No emergency signals. The report noted unexplained auditory anomaly. The pilot called it something else. The forest screaming back. Number 4. The plane that flew itself. Kind of. In 1984, a pilot ferrying a small Piper Cherokee in Australia reported engine failure and ditched in the bush. He survived, but the plane didn't crash. It kept flying. For over 300 miles, radar tracked the aircraft maintaining altitude and course despite no pilot aboard. Finally, it ran out of fuel and crashed in the outback. Investigators were baffled. The pilot had exited. The plane should have spiraled. Instead, it flew straight and level for hours, through restricted airspace and above terrain. No autopilot, no flight control system, no logic. If those other ones gave you chills, this top 3 will haunt you. Hit subscribe because things are about to get even darker. Number 3. The disappearing lights of Japan Airlines Flight 1628. In 1986, Japan Airlines Flight 1628 was flying over Alaska when the crew spotted 3 glowing objects trailing them. Captain Terauchi, a veteran with over 10,000 hours, reported that the objects moved erratically, sometimes pacing the plane, sometimes darting across the sky. He described one as being twice the size of an aircraft carrier. Anchorage radar confirmed an unknown target briefly, but then it disappeared. NORAD got involved. Terauchi was later grounded, not for safety, but because he wouldn't stop talking about it. To this day, no official explanation, but JAL 1628 remains one of the most credible UFO encounters, backed by both radar and sheer panic. Number 2. The passenger that didn't exist. Until he did. A flight from Heathrow to New York had a full manifest, but during landing checks, crew reported an unclaimed seatbelt was fastened in the back row. No one had been seated there. The name on the manifest didn't match any ID or boarding record. After landing, they rechecked the cabin. The belt was now unfastened. No one had seen anyone leave the row. Security footage from boarding? No one ever sat there. The weirdest part, an airline supervisor said a man matching that name had once flown the same route. He died on board 3 years earlier. Number 1. The Mayday from nowhere. In 1996, several pilots crossing the North Atlantic picked up a distress call on the emergency frequency. Mayday, Mayday, low fuel, engine failure. The voice was clear, male, calm, exactly what you'd expect from a trained pilot. He gave coordinates which placed him over the ocean in an area with no active flights. ATC searched records. No planes were scheduled or missing in that airspace. Multiple flights heard the same call, then it repeated. Exactly, word for word, looping. Eventually it stopped. No crash was reported, no black box ping, nothing on radar. The final theory? A ghost transmission, perhaps from a flight long gone, repeating over and over through the static.